Ay. Otra vez. Come here. Let me say something. I remember Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, those precious memories, a city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. Yeah. She remembers me.
Welcome to the Tampa Native Show. Stay tuned now for the fastest 60 minutes in cable broadcast history. Live from the studios at TBCN, the home of the Tampa Native Show. Join your hosts, Mario Nunez, the 15-Minute Girl, and Steve Canella, as they celebrate growing up in Tampa. From Shock Armstrong to Shakey's Pizza, from Braddock Street to Buffalo Avenue. Get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. And now, Mario Nunez, the 15-Minute Girl, and Steve Canella.
She remembers me.
Welcome back, everybody, to this, your Thursday night edition, 7 o'clock, the Tampa Native Show. And as you can see, we are celebrating tonight. We're celebrating all things All Hallows Eve. You know, tomorrow is the 31st of October. And if you haven't bought your candy by now, well, you know, what are you waiting for? Because it's tomorrow. Let me just introduce the panel as if you didn't know who we are. That fellow over there is normally Steve Canella, but tonight,
Dr. Saul.
Dr. Saul.
Dr. Saul.
Normally.
Dr. Saul, and primarily the reason he's Dr. Saul tonight is because, well, let's set this table up front, Steve.
Okay.
And now that you don't know this, today is the 30th, forgive me, today is the anniversary, October 30th,
Right.
of an official proclamation by our former mayor,
Sandy Friedman.
Sandy Friedman. Tell them what the day is, Steve.
Today is officially Dr. Paul Bearer Day.
Dr.
Isn't
Paul
that
Bearer
incredible?
Day. That's right. That's right.
Perfect.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
So we
That's a
couldn't
day.
get Dr. Paul because, well, he's under contract to another studio. So we got his very
Cousin.
Alter ego.
His very erstwhile cousin,
Just as a
Dr.
cousin.
Saul.
Dr. Saul.
And this, of course, sitting next to me, immediately to my left, on any other Thursday, would be Sally Nunez, our very own 15-Minute Girl, and she still is. Ow! But tonight she's the devil with the blue dress on. And of course, that would leave me to introduce myself. I'm Mario Nunez, tonight's silver-tongued devil. Okay.
Nice.
All right, get ready, because there's lots more of this. Tonight, you know, if you've picked up on a theme here, there's a reason for that. We're going to be talking in just a few minutes to our guest, Andy Lalino. And we're going to be previewing a film. We're going to be highlighting a film that was made here in the year 1974. A film called Satan's Children. Yeah, it's available still, I believe, out there somewhere on the YouTube and the interwebs. You can see it. But even more importantly, this year we're celebrating 40 years, the anniversary of that movie that was made right here in Tampa. Tonight, our topic of discussion with our filmographer, our filmmaker, our good friend Andy Lalino is going to be film history, right here in Tampa. You know, and people don't realize it, but Tampa film history goes way, way back. I did a little bit of research in prep for this show, and even as early as 1943, there was a movie that was filmed on Drew Airfield with Gig Young, and let me see the other name here, somebody by the name of John Garfield. Wow. So Tampa's history is pretty steep.
You know, it makes me think, too. I mean, we have an amazing baseball history.
Yes.
We have a music garage band history.
Yes.
We have a cult film history. We have so much history that we're learning in the process of doing this show.
Yes.
That at least I know I'm learning this as we go and as we have guests like Andy.
Layer
tonight.
upon layer of history just keeps
incredible.
what's the word I'm looking for, Stevie? Here, I'm looking for the word revealing itself.
Revealing.
That's true.
If there's
That's
a
true.
reveal here, it's
is
not
a
a
reveal.
revolve, although it could be.
It could.
But it's revealing itself. So we're going to ask for your questions in just a little bit when we bring Andy on. But in the meantime, can we recap what we did last week?
Sure.
Because I think it's important that we do so. Last Saturday, we had to, the Tampa Native Show is so popular. We do so much great work in the community that we had to split up last week. Steve was in attendance at a sort of, was it a fundraiser, Steve? A business kind of a...
It was like a networking event for
there you go.
Pasha, who's running for a county or city council. No, I'm sorry, it's school board.
School board, that's right, school board. A seat on the school board.
Exactly, and I had a great time. In fact, I had to split off from you and Sally and Becky. So I was there with, alone. I had my own table with the Tampa Native Show banner. But it was great.
And you met a lot of folks?
Met a lot of people. I got a chance to get in the front of the room and tell everybody about the show.
Wonderful.
What it's involved and our history and how long we've been doing it. And just they enjoyed it. It was about a 5-minute little talk.
Tell everybody about who won the drawing, because everybody was eligible to give.
I would say that maybe 99% of people were not Tampa natives, but we had a drawing for one of these nice bags, and also
which we'll be giving away tonight.
Yeah. And guess who won? The only Tampa native in the whole group.
How about that?
Funny.
You remember his name?
First time
Eddie Sorales.
Eddie Sorales. There you go, Eddie. So if you're watching tonight, congratulations. The only Tampa natives have a tendency to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just do that. That's what we do.
How that works. But.
And first-time callers too. So if you're out there watching us tonight, we're going to be giving away one of those bags a little while later. So first-time callers. All right, but what did we do, darling? What did you and I and Becky do?
We went to Dang Chicks.
Dang Chicks, fine furniture and fine finds.
Yes, and they have everything there. It's a big consignment store, several different layers, different floors. It's a lot of fun.
7006 Adamo Drive, just west of Orient Road. In fact, we got a little bit of film footage. Becky was there with her camera. We'd like to show that to you now. Becky, if you're ready, roll that video. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Wasn't that how the commercial goes? All right. Enjoy.
Beans.
Tampa Native Show fans, here we are at Dang Chicks, tough to say, Dang Chicks, fine furniture and fine finds. And we're having a great time, and we wish you were here, and you should be here. We've got music, we've got the Beatles on the box, we're raffling off a 20-inch TV monitor screen. Kathy White has stopped in to join us today. And Skipper Albini is here, so where are you? There's Skipper Albini in his Tampa Native shirt, Pat Lambert right behind you. How about that? Oh, they're purchasing. They're on the layaway plan. So here at Dang Chicks, not only can you leave with your merchandise today, but if you need to, they'll hold it for you. Isn't that right?
Yes.
You see there? Jackie says that's right, and she's one of the co-owners. And Pat Lambert is the general manager.
Yes.
So come see Pat.
Go ahead.
So once again, if you weren't here this time, be sure and be here next time. You're not going to want to miss any of this. Music, food, good people, great bargains at Dang Chicks, fine furniture and fine finds. And we found a fine find right here today too. Next time, be sure and visit 7006 Adamo Drive, just west of Orient Road. On behalf of everybody that was here today, my colleagues on the show, Tampa Steve and our 15-minute girl Sally Nunez, I'm Mario Nunez. Salud and happy days. Come on in, Pat. And Pat Lambert, we love you. Say salud.
Salud
and happy days. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you, Becky, for putting that together
What a great
for us.
job
That
you
was
did.
really, really nice. And
Got
there's
you
going to
beat,
be
too.
a lot more of that happening because as the Tampa Native Show continues to grow, and we expect that it will, nothing's going to stop us now. We got wind at our backs. We're going to be coming out into the community more, adding more value for our sponsors as well.
Absolutely.
So for those of you that are our sponsors currently or considering being our sponsors, get ready. We're going to have camera, will travel. We'll be out in the community.
It
Come
was
see
fun,
you
too.
very soon. Lots of
Lots
fun.
of fun.
And if you notice, there's lots of stuff. There's
There
lots and
was
lots
a
of
lot
stuff.
of
There's
stuff
lots of
there.
stuff there.
I have to go.
So come out and see them there, 7006 Adamo Drive.
Yeah.
Okay. as we get to 10 minutes past the hour of the show. We don't want to wait any longer because the gentleman that we're about to introduce, who works right around the corner here at the University of South Florida. Isn't that convenient?
Very convenient.
What a nice little convenience for him to just jump right over here to the studios at TBCN. Andy Lalino is going to tell us all about himself. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I know a little bit about him, but I want him to tell you. Andy works at USF, and Andy has spent the bulk of his career not only as a film aficionado and somebody who has actually been in the business of putting films together, bringing the product to fruition, but he also enjoys film noir. He also enjoys those thrillers, sci-fis, horror movies. Got a world of information to share with us. Bring us up in the 4-shot, Becky. Without further ado, our dear friend, here we go, Andy Lalino.
Hey, thank you, everyone.
And you know what, he's not a Tampa native, but you know he's the next best thing. Andy, where are you from?
I am originally from New York. However,
No, not that place, the other place.
Sorry, St. Pete.
There you go,
Petersburg,
St.
Florida.
Pete, New York, St. Pete,
place
it's a
next
little
door.
bit closer.
By
But you
way
spent
of-
the bulk of your rearing, you would say, growing up, you spent in St. Pete, yes?
Since 1971.
That's, there you go.
Okay.
That's
I'm a native.
Tampa native enough for us.
That's right.
Because I mentioned to him, I said, Andy, I said, you remember Webb City? He goes, absolutely. I said, okay, Andy, you're in. You're in, brother. So, Andy, tell our audience, man. I know Mike Clark brought us together, but you've been doing this little thing with Satan's Children, the 40th anniversary. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, how we kind of discovered each other is through this screening that's coming up on November 15th, 10 p.m. at Tampa Theater, which is the Satan's Children 40th anniversary. Yes, reunion, cast and crew. Some of the original cast and crew members are going to be there.
Wow.
It's going to be an exciting event. I encourage all your viewers to attend that night because it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Sure. 40th anniversary, guys. Don't miss it. We'll have that information up on our website. We'll have that information on our Facebook page as well. What makes that interesting, as I was doing the research for the show, is how that movie came about. I mean, it was all done local production. It was all done after hours, if you want to look at it that way, because the staff had to kind of meet at a clandestine location at a clandestine time. And this is before cell phones, Steve. This is before, you had even fax machines. This is before, how did people coordinate these activities back then? Tell us a little bit about how that came in and tell us who Mr. Wizicki was.
Well, sure. Satan's Children came about, it's an independent film made in Tampa by Tampa natives.
There you go.
A lot of the crew people were from WTVT Channel 13, which I'm sure a lot of your viewers remember.
Absolutely.
Big 13.
Big 13.
Yeah. Sure.
Mike Clark, let's give credit where credit is due. Mike Clark runs one of my favorite websites, big13.com.
Yes.
It is great.
And he's responsible for putting me in touch with you.
Yes.
And all you guys, and thanks to Mike for that. And yeah, it was a project directed by Joe Wizicki, who this is, in case anybody doesn't know, you showed a picture of Shock Armstrong, who was the horror host before Dr. Paul Bearer. And Mario, you remember him?
Very
from
well.
those days.
Very well.
Yeah.
Had a short run here in Tampa, but you know what? He's a fan favorite with the Tampa natives fans.
That's right.
We all remember, his favorite, his famous expression: "Start the movie, start the movie." And that lent itself to what happened in the next decade with Dr. Paul Bearer, who we kind of celebrate tonight a little bit. But Shock was the originator.
Shock, well, actually, I think there was another horror host before even Shock Armstrong.
In the Tampa area?
In the Tampa area.
All right, here we go.
Go
Well,
search
the name
that.
escapes me,
Yeah.
but it was a husband and wife team.
Really?
And if you go on Big 13, you can find out that information. But getting back to Shock Armstrong, Joe was the director of all of those segments of the Shock Armstrong show at WTVT Channel 13.
Gotcha.
And he's an interesting character. Joe is a real, if you like horror films, if you like cult movies, Joe is like one of our pioneers of cult film and cult TV in this area, having done
Maybe
Shock
we should
Armstrong.
get him on the show.
And he's still about?
He is not. He had passed away a few years ago.
We lost him. We lost
Although
him.
we
We lost
definitely
him.
keep him in our
Too
memory
bad.
tonight.
Absolutely. Well, that's part and parcel while we're doing the show tonight. Is it his nephew, again, we talked earlier, is it his nephew that has been working with and is nominated with, along with Lynn Marvin Dingfelder for the documentary JFK in Tampa? That's another Wizicki as well, correct?
Yes, that's Larry Jr. He's the grandson of Joe.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go.
All
So
connected.
How
the
wonderful.
acorn never fell too far from the tree.
it didn't.
I guess once that is in your blood, as far as making movies, as far as being in the media, behind the camera, kind of stays with you. Well, if you
I
learn
think
at your
so.
grandpa's knee,
Yeah.
and
That's
it
the
sounds
best way
to
to
me
learn.
like Joe was quite a character, because what we do know about him is that he was, in his daytime activities, he was quiet, he was very likable, one of the nicest guys that working at Channel 13. But apparently, you know, when you see some of the movies he's done, you know, he had that other side to him that makes people what they are, complex and fun. Now, how did he get the job at Big 13? You told me this the other day, eternally interesting. How did he get the job?
Well, I'm not quite sure how he got the job at 13, but I know he was interested in, I guess, you know, like horror and sci-fi, having wanted to do Shock Armstrong and kind of, you know, got segued into that. But also interesting about Joe is he did another movie, which is a lost film in it's either 68 or 69, called Willie's Gone. And I think it was kind of like a civil rights movie. So, you know, Joe has a track record in, you know, making a couple of independent cult movies here right here in our area.
Right here.
Willie's Gone was shot here as well by a lot of the same crew members that worked on Satan's Children in '74. So interesting history.
Yeah, I thought you had mentioned to me, and maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you had mentioned to me that he got discovered. He got offered the job at Big 13 because he had come in to do some contracting work, or he had done something like, you know, hey, Joe was building these cabinets, and then somebody offered him something that could only have happened in 1959 or 1958, where you come in off the street and somebody says, hey, have you ever stood behind a camera before? You want to do this job? And for the next 40 years, you spent in TV production.
Sure, that's very common. You hear the
Only
stories
back
all the time.
then.
Yeah.
Now people, you know, people either go to technical training school, pay a lot of money, pay a lot of money to get specifically trained, have your certification behind you, and then spend 6 years in college. I want to go back to the early days. I want to go back to the early days when, you know what?
We all want to go back to those days.
When Marilyn Monroe was discovered at the soda fountain, right? But we've already got callers. As we expected, they would be calling us tonight. We'll get to your callers to the callers in just a second. What else do I want to ask you? I want to tell you. I want to share with our audience as well, because in researching again for the show tonight, look at this. 1943. I mentioned at the top of the show. 1943. There was Drew Airfield was highlighted in a show called Air Force. Okay, with John Garfield and Gig Young. But then in the 1960s. Hey, who's that guy? Oh, he showed up right over my shoulder right there. Kind of freaked me out. Yeah, he's right there. In the 1960s, Route 66. Very, very popular show here. You know, black and white TV land. Of course. They had about 6 episodes that were filmed right here up and down the Bay Shore. You know, because Tampa has magnificent weather. We're coming into that good time of year where the weather is really stable. And you know, you can work outside. It's not going to rain. The heat's not going to be a problem. So film production should be just now starting to ramp up outside. 74 and 75, of course, Satan's Children we talked about. And another movie that I was talking to Andy about that I saw at the theater, Britton Plaza, in 1974, a movie called Scream, Bloody Murder. Now the movie, I got to be honest with you, is hard to sit through because it's not real good. Because it's early film production here in Tampa. But what was interesting about it was there was a house located that's still there now. It's on Beta Bay and Church Street, old Spanish Mediterranean stucco building that was used for a lot of the outdoor shots and some of the indoor as well. And I remember going by there. Typical thriller, bloody, cutter slasher movie. And I guess the reason that those movies are the first ones that are considered is because it's easy to scare somebody. Let's face it. You can get a flashlight, stick it under your chin, and ooh, Blair Witch Project. Cost them $18,000 to make. They made $9 million. I'm just saying, horror movies still play. So, and then of course in 1993 was Cop and a Half. In 1996, does anybody remember 1996? There were a series of TV pilots that were shot here. One of which was called Second Noah. Second Noah was produced right here as well with local talent, local production. Yeah. So, and then most recently we had Spring Breakers, which was another fabulous movie. Not really. Didn't get mixed reviews, but that was shot over in St. Pete, and so there's a lot of things that are, and Dolphin's Tale.
Dolphin's Tale is a big success.
With Morgan Freeman. Anytime you get Morgan Freeman to be involved in a project, you know you've got your project has legs. So, what's my point? And The Punisher. And how can we forget The Punisher? Because it's in my notes. And the reason I need to say The Punisher is because our producer here, Becky Yata, worked on The Punisher. Right. And that's kind of what whetted her appetite a little bit to get involved in this business of TV and movie making. So, Tampa is becoming, and should be, a hotspot for movie making activity.
It really should.
We got a little work to do. We got a little work to do. People up in Tallahassee don't believe that it's necessary to offer tax breaks to those production companies that are coming in here from out of state to do work. And as a result, they're taking their business and they're going to New Orleans. And they're going to Atlanta. So let's.
I think the mayor is actually making some steps towards that direction for getting more movie.
And he needs to
production.
because
Yeah.
he's a very proactive mayor. He's a business. You know, our mayor is very proactive, and he's Bollywood was
He
just
realizes,
here.
right,
Bollywood
value.
was just here, so we're on the map. Now it's just a question of refining. We've got plenty of talented technical people here, people like Andy who produce. So I mean, it's here. It's all here.
There are acting schools in the area too.
Acting schools in
Yeah.
the area, plenty of acting talent, and what isn't local, we'll come in here. I mean, John Travolta just lives in Ocala, so he's a state resident. He's right up the street.
Yes.
It's happening, people. It's happening. Let's take a caller. Let's go to 4. Andy, bear with us, and this may be a question for you. Caller, you're on the air with the Tampa Native Show. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Hugh, and I'm calling from North St. Petersburg.
This is Hugh Perret from North St. Petersburg. I still can't get used to saying calling from North St.
I know.
Petersburg.
We're struggling with that.
I had a couple of things to mention. First of all, that mention of The Punisher.
Yes.
You probably know that there was a segment of that film that was filmed in the old Goody Goody restaurant, one of my favorite hangouts.
Yes.
And it was filmed there. And actually, there was some extra tables, and I think the cabinet they gave them, it didn't last long because they went out of business because the owner didn't renew the lease and so forth and so on.
Right.
But part of that was filmed there. The other thing I wanted to make mention of, and kind of with how the theme, is Rondo Hatton, who, although his films weren't made here, he was from here, and some of the great horror films were just a few of his horror films, were The Creeper, and I'm trying to remember the other one, but he's buried in the Veterans Cemetery on Kennedy.
Oh, wow, okay, very good. Hey, listen,
Great
that's a great
information.
scoop right
Yeah,
there.
that is.
And we're going to ask Andy about Rondo Hatton here in just a second. But don't look now, Hugh, because Goody Goody is coming back. I know you know this. Our dear friend and sponsor, Richard Gonsmart, and he's going to be on our show, by the way. But here's a spoiler alert. Andy, spoiler alert. Richard's coming back to do the show. Stay tuned. December 4th, he's going to be in studio with us to tell us all about Ulele and what's going to be happening with Goody Goody.
Good, it's gonna be great.
So let us get your Bolita number. I appreciate the tip on Rondo. We're going to ask Andy about that. Bolita number?
It's going to be, I'm going to take a different one this time. I'm going to take number 40.
Number
40 it
40,
is.
Mike Allstott. All right, thank you. I
Thanks,
appreciate you,
You
Hugh.
always have great questions.
And we still can't get used to you living in St. Pete.
You left too soon. Goody Goody's coming back.
Goody Goody's coming back. We'll see you, Hugh. Tell us what you know about Rondo.
Well, I actually have an interesting story about this.
Come on, man. This is why we do this show.
When I was filming my first short film back in 2002, it's a movie called Filthy. It's not a porn movie. It's a horror film.
Thank
It's
goodness
a short
for that.
film.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Steve about fell out of his chair. Go ahead.
Well, Filthy takes place in a house full of garbage.
Okay.
And piles of garbage. That's kind of like the set design.
hoarders?
Like hoarders.
Yeah.
Before
If
the
you will.
word became popular.
Sure.
The movie came out in 2004. You can learn about it on filthythemovie.com, incidentally. But anyway, I was just trying out different people to see if they would be interested in, helping us out with production design. And I got in touch with Robert Burns. Now, this is the guy who designed the inside of the house in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my.
And a 1978 movie called Tourist Trap. But Robert Burns was an expert. He's passed away, but he was an expert on Rondo Hatton. Nobody knew more about Rondo than Robert Burns. And so we were in touch via email, and he said, Andy, I'm coming to Tampa to accept an award on behalf of Rondo at the high school. It was a Hall of Fame thing, the high school he attended. So I met Robert Burns, and there at the ceremony, I was at the ceremony.
What was the high school?
I think it was Jefferson.
It might have been Jefferson.
Yeah,
That's-
because
that's good.
I
That rings a
believe
bell.
that it was. I believe it because Hugh went to Jefferson, graduated from Plymouth. Yep.
It probably was that high school. And I met with Robert Burns. He told me a lot about his filmmaking adventures, and he also had a briefcase full of Rondo Hatton memorabilia.
Oh, wow.
We looked at
Did you
8x10s. Well, it was his. He carried around a big briefcase just full of it, and he just showed me. He took time out to show me all these things.
nice.
It was just a great night. I'll never
Yeah,
forget it.
sounds like it.
Never gonna
What?
forget
That's a
it.
terrific story.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And Rondo Hatton is buried here in Tampa, right off Kennedy, just
Right
like
there.
you said.
Yep, right in that American Legion Cemetery that's just west of Dale Mabry and Kennedy.
Leave it to
That's
Hugh.
been there
He would
for
know.
well. He fancies
Hugh
himself a
is
little
on
Tampa
it.
historian
Yeah,
himself,
he does.
But I think
Absolutely.
we scooped Dan Perez on this one.
I think he
Yeah.
did.
I think so.
I don't know.
Thank you for sharing that. There is a line
Great
open if
story.
you'd like to call us, darling,
Darling.
give him that. Oh, that's you. Give him that number, baby.
The number is 813-977-6800.
Give us a call and ask a question for Andy if you've got a comment as well. So we got a caller on 5. Caller, thank you so much for holding. You're on the air with the Tampa Native Show. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I am Mike Clark, calling from Hollywood, California.
Nice!
Hollywood.
It sounds so good when you say
Hollywood's
Hollywood,
calling us,
California.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
You guys look great with your horns. That's a children, right?
Horny little devils that we are.
Yeah, you are. And
Yes, he is.
never,
I can vouch for that.
met Andy in person, but I'm glad he's from St. Pete because I live there a lot myself, and I'm glad I always thought he was like 25 years old talking to him on the phone, and
Right?
he's got a lot white hair there.
Yeah, no,
That's blonde. Come on, Mike.
He's got
He's
those
very
dulcet tones,
young.
man. He's got a great voice, man. I'm sitting here listening to him. That's
He is. He's great. Could I circle back and cover a couple of things that I heard while I was listening?
absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, first of all, Joe's last name is pronounced Wiziki.
Wiziki.
Wiziki,
Okay,
that's
all
what
right.
I thought.
Wiziki, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. And he really was one of the most beloved people at 13. And like you were commenting earlier, Joe was such a light personality that when he decided to go into movie making, we were all kind of questioning, geez, he kind of picked a dark topic. But I'm sure, as Andy will recall for you, many filmmakers got into the business through making horror movies.
Probably because it was easier to start that way, you think?
You can always scare people,
Yeah.
And the plot line is easier, I think, to develop in a lot of ways. And, we Blair Witch broke the mold, man. I mean, they set the template, and then the next thing you know.
Yeah.
Well, even earlier than that, Francis Ford Coppola and other prominent filmmakers, John Carpenter, they all kind of started in that genre. And like you said, it's a little easier to do, particularly if you don't have the budget for
Correct.
Right, yeah.
have the budget for a lot of special effects.
Yeah.
Fake blood is not all that
Fake blood's not that expensive, man. I know how to make it on
Ketchup.
Yeah, you can use Bosco or you can use some of that chocolate syrup too, because in black and white it all shows up.
Right. So Joe, who was the producer of the noontime blockbuster ratings Pulse Plus,
Hey.
and also, as Andy mentioned, had worked on Shock Theater. He was the original producer of Shock Theater with Shock Armstrong. And then, by the way, I should also mention that WTVT did have an earlier Shock Theater in the late 50s that was hosted by Ed Scott and his wife Peg. They played
There you go.
a couple living in a mansion. And that was on about 1959, 1960, so it predated Shock Theater.
I don't remember that.
Ed Scott and his wife Peggy, you said?
Yes,
They
and
were
he
living
was
in a
also
mansion?
the station spaceman, 3D Danny.
Oh, I
yeah,
remember
3D Danny.
3D
3D Danny.
yeah.
I was.
I don't remember the other Shock Theater thing, though.
Well, that must have been the earliest
wonder if there's any-
days of broadcasting, because TVT came in what, 1955?
1955, and
Yeah.
the original Shock Theater started around 1959 and
Interesting.
went to about 1961.
There you go.
Do you know if there's any footage of that?
Nothing.
No, I haven't found. The only thing
Wow.
on the Big 13 website is a picture of Ed Scott and his wife hosting the show, but we don't have any film or kinescopes.
Dang it.
Now, Mike, you sent some pictures last night. Some of them did not come through, but we have about 4 pictures that we can show.
Why don't you put one up and
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is.
Sure,
Becky,
sure.
Becky, let's start with picture number 12, and we'll run out the last 4. as
Okay.
Mike's.
Now, what you're seeing, or what you will be seeing here when 12 is up, is Satan's Children used crew members from Channel 13 to be the lighting people, to be the camera operators, and so forth. But they also used them as extras. And, well, now we're looking at picture 5, which is Joe Wiziki is the second from the left. And that's one of his stellar casts of guest stars for Pulse Plus. On the left, you have the Joker. Help me with his name.
Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero. And then right next to Joe, Joe's the second from the left. The man in the middle there is the manager of he's a talent agent, Jay. I can't remember his last name either. Don't know who the guy is next to him, but on the far right is the actor who played the detective.
Stacy Keach.
Stacy Keach.
Stacy Keach.
Yeah.
And so that's just some of his guests on Pulse Plus. Frequently, the crew members were thrilled to have people come through, like George Takei from Star Trek,
Oh, wonderful.
Christopher Lee, the First Lady, Nancy Reagan came through. Joe was a great producer.
Wow.
But he got his interest in making movies, and there he is in one of his earliest jobs floor managing a shoot at the old Tampa State Fair. And Mario, where was that held?
Well, that was right there off of North Boulevard. Yes, sir, at the North Boulevard between Kennedy Boulevard and Cass Street.
Right.
Right. And he
Trying
was
to throw me a
floor
curveball like that, Michael. I'm ready for you, man. What do you got?
Well, okay, we're back on that picture. Anyway,
Yeah.
Joe started off on the crew, and you were mentioning earlier, Mario, how did Joe join WTBT? He was a family man who lived in Chicago. He wanted to get his family away from that tough Chicago.
Cold.
Moved down to Tampa, where his brother was a member of the police force, and Joe just took a series of odd jobs. And one day he was called in to help move some furniture, and the man he was working for was the production manager of Channel 13. He liked Joe's attitude. He said, "Joe, why don't you come by and see me about a job sometime?" Joe, up to that minute, had never had a thought about being in TV or movies or anything. And from that little conversation and meeting, he went on to have a 30-year career at Channel 13.
Wow, that's pretty
As
awesome.
only it could happen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When it's organic and homegrown,
Yeah.
just like that in the early 60s. You know, as only it could
Doesn't
happen.
happen
all
anymore.
starting.
You need a college degree to get into television.
That's true. How about this one here, the old sombrero? Look at that, man.
Let me see. I'm a few seconds.
I know, it's coming up. It's got to go to the satellite, then it's got to go to Hollywood, then it's got to find you somewhere in Hollywood, apparently.
Yeah, that's what we call satellite delay. When you see people on the news and the question is asked and the other person nods and nods. Hey, now,
Right.
Mario, we're
Yes.
at Tampa Stadium
There
in
you
the
go.
late
Yeah.
70s.
Yes.
And Joe used to moonlight for CBS Sports as a field director.
Really?
He would be wrangling football players to talk on camera or coordinating cameras. That's just one of the jobs he did. And now, Steve, what other pictures came through for you?
Well, we have number 15, Becky, which is Willie's Gone.
Yeah, I think Willie's Gone was number 7 for me, but let's see what
the
comes
numbers
up.
change, actually.
We'll roll with it.
Okay.
Who's that in the booth? Becky?
Yes.
Yep.
Our one and only producer, and she's working it tonight. What's next,
I know,
Becky?
it's a hard job. This is a poster for Joe's first film called Willie's Gone, and what he did was he went to other people at Channel 13 to raise the money to film this, and it was a drama filmed in the late 60s, and unfortunately it was not a financial success, and so it was a few more years before he tried it again with Satan's Children.
Now, Mike, what we'll do, we're going to go back to picture number 8, and Becky, if you can, bring up picture 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then Mike can talk about these. These are the actual, the cast of the movie, and you should be seeing this on your screen.
And I understand if Andy could chip in here
Yes.
and tell us which cast members and crew members will be appearing at this wonderful festival coming up on November 15th.
That's right, Mark. I mean, Mike.
Bill,
Oh,
back to
Joe,
you,
oh,
Bob.
Before he
Yes.
before he mentions this is the highlight for me of the entire movie, the famous quicksand.
We have a video of that, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna show that video in just a couple of seconds, but that's awesome. That was, I don't know what that white stuff was all around him there, but that was just,
That guy
Well,
looks
here's
familiar
the
to me.
story on that. Joe, the director, told his son Larry. He said before they shot this scene, he said, "Go out and buy me $150 worth of oatmeal.
Oatmeal. Okay.
We're going to shoot a quicksand scene." They went out to the location. That's Stephen White, who played Bobby Douglas. They went out to the location in North Tampa, dug a pit out in the woods about 3 feet deep, and then they poured this oatmeal in there to make the quicksand trap. And as you'll see in the clip, it isn't exactly convincing as a quicksand pit.
Kind of sticks to him a little bit.
oh, it does stick to him. And this actor here, this fine-looking gentleman with a great head of hair?
I can't remember his name, but one of the reasons this movie is so fun is that it's vintage 70s mustaches and
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
Cars.
man.
and bell-bottom pants.
All that good
Beautiful.
stuff.
Tight jeans.
Very, very tight.
Yes.
And you know, again, about the production of this, back in the 70s, to make a motion picture, it wasn't quite as easy as it is now. The cameras were very heavy and big, and the film stock was expensive. That's the woman who played the sister in the film, the half-sister. But to make a movie back then in 35 millimeter was quite an effort. These days, any college kid with a Canon XLR camera can go out and make a movie for pennies, and it'll look better than 35 millimeter.
That's an amazing, that's,
Technology.
and
That's how far we've come.
Yeah, thank you. That speaks volumes about where the technology has come, and if you can consider in that length of time how far, and now that it's all being concentrated faster, you can do something really, a lot of times field reporters in the news currently, Mike, will be out there with their iPhones, man, and they're actually reporting back live on a live feed through their iPhones. So who knows what's in store around the next corner. Thank you so much for calling tonight and enlightening us. We really appreciate that.
Before you let me go,
yes.
I need to mention another film that was made in Tampa that was a very big hit, was Strategic Air Command.
Strategic.
Why does that sound familiar?
Yeah,
It does.
It was made in 1955. It was starred Jimmy Stewart.
There it is. That's why.
Wow.
And that has a lot of footage of St. Pete and Tampa in it. And again, I'd like to thank Andy for doing the work of bringing this film back to the public's attention, because it really shows the audacity and the fact that Joe Wizicki was a dreamer and wanted to go out and make a movie and use local talent and all that, and hopefully it would lead to something. It ultimately didn't, but, bless him for trying, and bless Andy for bringing it back in this film festival.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, Mike, thank you. And, I have to say Big 13 is one of my favorite websites. And,
by the way, guys, I'll be back in March because it's the station's 60th anniversary.
Oh, great.
Well, listen, we want to be there with you. So, and we'll have you back on the show as a precursor to that celebration. So please, let us know. Reach out to us before you come back to town.
I am not a precursor. I do not.
Very well played, sir. All right, buddy. Take care. Enjoy yourself out there in Hollywood.
Happy Halloween.
Happy
Same
Halloween.
to you, Mike. Thank you so
for
much.
Calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's great. Did we get his bleeder number? I'm going to
we
assign
didn't
him
do
one.
it. We didn't get it.
17.
Okay.
17.
Put him down for
Okay.
17, man. That's a lucky number. That's my number. Yeah, Mr. Wizicki was doing this on the side, if we understand, right? I mean, like, this was shot, a lot of this was shot in a barn in Riverview, and they had to shoot it after hours. So, did they use the cameras from Channel 13? Probably. Did they have to sneak them out? Absolutely. Did they pay their actors? Probably not very much.
Not.
well, actually, they did pay their actors, and I heard they paid them very well.
Oh, well, there
wow.
you go. Well, when you're shooting in a barn in the middle of the summer in Riverview, I would expect that you would get paid and compensated for that.
Nice for them.
That's not an easy deal, right?
75 cents a gallon, right? Gas.
Wow, yeah, and that's the other thing. Before cell phones, and Riverview's not right down the street, and back then, it was quite a little bit of a drive.
Sure.
It's still way
So,
out.
hey, should we show the clip, or should we? Oh,
Yeah.
did we lose our caller? We had a caller
did.
online. Okay. Excellent.
do
Yeah,
that.
let's show the clip
Let's show
because
that clip.
Mike did such a great job of setting it up. So this is about how long, Stevie?
It's short. It's less. It's probably a minute or less.
Okay, about a minute or less, and this is the famous oatmeal quicksand scene from Satan's Children, filmed right here in Riverview and Tampa in 1974.
Oh my.
Johnny! I'm in quicksand! Where? Over here, Johnny! Over here! Help me! Help! Help me! Help me! Please help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help! Help! Hang on!
Yikes.
Wow.
That was a dirty trick.
Tremendous. And a little gratuitous calzoncillo boy at
I
the
didn't
end
see
there.
that
Just
guy
a quick
back
flash
there.
of the kid in his calzoncillos jumping into the quicksand. But you listen, I tell you what, it was probably a lot of fun to be a part of that.
Sure.
Because,
Yeah.
you're doing some stuff, like Mike said, that's a little
How
out there
long
on
did
the
that
edge.
take?
How
long did the actual
Good
film,
question.
film
Do you
take?
know?
I mean, to
Not
produce
sure.
that?
I think it's probably I'm thinking about 4 weeks,
Yeah.
possibly. Yeah.
I was thinking
that's my
about
best
that,
guess.
maybe between that and 45 days, maybe.
Was that done just on weekends, maybe, or off work time? I guess.
A little
I'm sure.
both.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah,
both.
because if it's a daytime shot, you know what I'm thinking? It's
Yeah.
probably on the weekends.
Yeah, probably.
If it's an evening indoor shot that could be
Interesting.
lit, you're working at 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, getting back to Joe for a second.
Sure.
It's very common to think that filmmakers kind of are a doppelganger of what they shoot, but often it's not the case. I mean, usually, I know a lot of horror fans and horror filmmakers. They're usually the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. They're not
Right.
violent at all.
Yeah.
When I made Filthy back in 2002, I mean, it's nothing like I am in real life. I'm kind of a family person, and I kind of very mild-mannered. But Joe, I think, was kind of the same way, where, like, Mike was saying, he's a family man, but there's just this
Alter
love
ego?
this love for exploitation, this love for the weird side of life. Maybe it's almost like Ripley's Believe It or Not. You like the unusual.
Yeah.
Well, it's I think
I've been there.
it's that mirror thing that
I think there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I
really
think
do.
everybody's probably like
Yes,
that.
to some extent.
I can tell you that it's a lot more fun, especially if you're a nice guy by nature, which you obviously are, Andy.
Yes.
So it surprises no one, if you make a movie or you produce from the production end, or as an actor, all of a sudden you play this villainous SOB, and you play it with tremendous credibility. It's like, man, where did that come from? Well, that's what you tap into. But it's also a lot of fun, because you're stepping completely out of your
Comfort
persona,
zone.
your character, day to day, to play this ugly bad person. So
Sure.
that makes perfect sense.
Well, we were talking about Dr. Paul Bear. It's Dr. Paul Bear Day in Tampa, October 30th. And, it was really Dr. Paul Bear, when I first saw his show in '73, that got me interested in horror, science fiction, comic books, all of those type of genres. And, and those are wonderful. The Godzilla movies, the Gamera movies, the Universal
yes.
horror movies that we
Yeah.
all enjoyed watching in the 70s.
The monster
They're
movies, man,
great.
from the 60s even, the
In
black
the
and white,
60s,
the
the
monster
50s,
movies.
Thing.
the 30s, the 40s.
Vincent Price all day long, man.
Absolutely.
Or even the ones that little outside Tampa, like the Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was Silver Springs was filmed
Correct,
there.
correct.
And,
But speaking for myself, like as I got older into the late 70s into the early 80s, you became a teenager. You wanted to kind of dare yourself to watch these more exploitative movies, which is where kind of the blood and guts come in. Can I really handle this? Am I brave enough? And by that time, the VHS stores were opening, VHS rental stores. So I rented a lot of those, and that's what it's like an evolution. You start with the kind of the family stuff, then you get the more risque stuff, and then it's just something that's never left me. I've always loved those genres.
I just, I just get nervous every time you say you produced a movie named Filthy, because it just makes me nervous to hear that title. I'm kidding, of course. But and listen, horror movies,
Very popular.
thrillers, horror movies, not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
Not for everybody, because I'll be the first one to tell you, the people that have been watching this show for the last 4 years, they know intimately, they know my stories. The first time that I saw William Friedkin directed The Exorcist
Yeah.
with Linda Blair. I mean, I fell in love with Linda Blair, like most 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. Not that she was that attractive, but there was something about her on the screen, and then she became the devil. And then I didn't sleep. I had to sleep with the lights on for like 6 months, because it was like, that was the freakiest,
You still
scariest
can't
movie.
watch that movie.
some of those
No
movies
doubt.
stay in your mind. In fact,
Yes, they do.
one little saying from one movie, I'm
Yeah.
sure you know the name, but it was, they're here.
Oh,
Remember
come
that?
on, Poltergeist.
Poltergeist, right.
Yeah, no. It's all of those movies, and especially I think if they tend to deal with, and Satan's Children lends itself, and that's why we're dressed the way we are tonight. Satan's Children kind of lends itself to that just in the title alone. So anything with that Pentecostal upside down start pentagram thing, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Anything with the horn, it kind of. And especially if you had, Stevie, if you had some parochial school upbringing, you know what I mean? And if you were raised close to that the whole theory and stuff, it's like that dark side.
I'm nervous right now.
We are too, man. I don't even know why.
Well,
What?
speaking of they're here, it's here, and it's 15 minutes.
She got us again.
Jim Hooper's watching, belated number 58.
58 for Jimmy Hooper.
minutes.
Hello,
Caller,
Jimmy.
you're on the air. We got 15 minutes to go, and I can't believe it. You're with the Tampa Native Show. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Lonnie Dolan, and I'm calling from Bradenton, Florida.
Hey, Lonnie, how
welcome
are
in.
you?
Hey, Lonnie.
Hello.
Hi.
Lonnie, is this your first time calling the show?
Yes, it is.
There you go, partner. Everybody that calls for the first time gets a bell rung, and we just rang your bell, Lonnie.
Okay.
Listen, you
not
don't,
impressed.
let's get back in the house. Listen, don't get so excited you run out of the house like that on us. Now, tell us how you know this man sitting next to me.
Well, we met about 10 years ago. We were doing research for GraceFanboy.com for a database about Dr. Paul Bearer, and it was at the St. Petersburg Central Library.
That's right.
Andy Lalino, Nolan Beatonova, and me. So that's how it all got started.
Have you always been a fan of that type of movie and you know, either the scary movies, the thrillers, the black and white horror movies that come to you early in your life?
B movie I saw was on Friday, January 17, 1975. It was on Fright Theater. It was called The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Yeah, great, classic.
Yes.
Good way to start out.
Excellent choice, man. Listen, that's tall
love
cotton there.
those
You start up
movies.
there. Where you go from there?
I know,
man,
you can't. Nowhere.
But I can see where that would get in and kind of get into your blood, and you kind of want to see, like Andy was saying, it's an evolution. You start with the cheesy black and whites with the the rubbery looking monsters, but look at what we can do today.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Godzilla movies that you can, they're pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Classics.
Hey, Lonnie, do you remember a movie back in the early 70s, maybe it was late 60s, I believe it was early 70s, called The Claw? Do you remember that movie?
The Giant Claw?
The giant claw like a caña.
It was
Like
a
a
nice-
caña. It was a big pterodactyl looking thing.
Yes.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I kind of like the Big Bird.
Big Bird.
Yeah,
It was so funny
yeah.
because
Right.
you could actually see the monofilament line that they were using to fly the bird through the studio. It was hilarious.
Love that movie.
It was like
It's like the lizards. That they
yeah, it was
used
like
to
it was like Godzilla that breathed fire, electrical fire. And it was amazing because there was this little Frenchman on the French village side that used to run around yelling and pointing at the sky going, "Le cacaña, le cacaña." And here came that silly bird.
That was on Creature Feature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Classic Saturday afternoon stuff. I just wanted to mention that because can you imagine if they remade that today?
That'd be cool.
They got some stuff now they
High
can really
tech.
remake that good.
Digital, yeah.
They could really
They were
scare us
doing with
now.
computer generated effects.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a movie
Absolutely.
coming out called Birdman with Michael Keaton, which
Birdman,
reminded me a lot of the
yeah.
Giant Claw.
There you go.
You got a big bird in
And
that
at the
movie.
end of the movie, I'll just say this at the end of the movie when they finally did, kill the giant bird with that was the claw sticking out of the water because it flew into the water. They dropped the bird of the monofilament line into a little puddle, and then it sank. And the last thing you saw was the claw submerging under the water. Lonnie,
Great
thank you so
stuff.
much for calling us tonight. Can we get your lucky number between 1 and 75? We're going to give something away here in a minute. We hope you win.
70.
70
Okay.
it is. Closest to
Win
without
high.
going over.
That's right.
He knows how to play the game.
He does.
All right, Lonnie. Thanks so much for calling. We appreciate you.
Okay.
Thanks, Lonnie.
Hi, Andy.
Take care now.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Hey, do we have time to show some of the Halloween pictures? We only have a few. A
Yeah,
handful.
let's show
Yeah,
them.
we can just
before
run through
we
them
get
real
out of here.
quick.
Absolutely. We don't want to miss any of this. And let me just say, spoiler alert, for those of you that are standing by watching our show, we love you guys. We're going to introduce you to our cast here in just a couple of minutes. And I mean just a couple of minutes. We're going to show these pictures, come back on the back side. We want you to meet the rest of
That's right.
the crew here tonight, especially our Halloween staff. Everybody's dressed, and you'll see what I mean, Satan's children. They're all here. Stevie, call for those pictures.
Well, let's start with the number one, Becky. This is great. Well, actually,
There he is.
this is Dr. Saul when he was little. This is me.
That's little Dr. Saul.
fact,
before med school.
I have the same makeup on right now, actually. Not much difference,
I don't even
really.
think that's makeup, brother. I think that's just,
what that
that's just how it
looks
turned
like.
out for you.
Well, back then I think it was shoe polish,
That
right?
looks like a beatnik contest.
That's what it
There
was.
you go.
Costume.
Look at this. That
Look,
picture.
same,
picture.
same,
Uh-huh.
same
So you got
makeup.
that thing in your forehead, though. I don't know what that's all about.
I haven't changed a whole lot, have
I
I?
love that thing. Do you remember that thing when
Yeah,
the
yeah.
doctors used to use that for real?
Yes.
What was that about?
You know, I'm not really sure.
It was a reflector. It was full
Yeah.
of
Scare
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and to scare you.
And they looked
And-
official, looked
and to scare
professional,
you.
yeah.
of course. Next picture.
Next picture.
What else you got, Steve? You got some more pictures?
Yeah, we have a couple more. We have, who's this little guy?
Oh, I know that guy.
Is that Ben Casey?
That's Dr. Ben Casey. Hey, I guess we got a doctor theme tonight going, huh?
Ben Casey.
The Devil's Doctors. or
Now, I heard
something like that.
I heard he progressed to become an
He
official
did. He
doctor,
did. The
right?
next photograph you'll see,
Yeah.
if there is another.
There is another photo right
Let
behind
me
you.
see if I can get the same.
There it
There
is.
he is. And what does it say there, Steve? It says,
They say I'm too young, too inexperienced. I say wait until a man's wife needs an emergency appendectomy, then they will come running to me. Dr. Mario.
see?
Wow.
See?
Look at that.
Well,
And
your
that's an
wife's
actual
not gonna
photograph.
need one.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's an actual photograph inside an actual clinic here in Ybor City. And I got to tell you something. If you went in there for some kind of a procedure, be careful.
Might not come out.
The rumor has it that more people go out the back door than come out the front door. I don't know what that means, but I've heard my father say that many times. We do have a line open if you'd like to ask a question of
Yeah,
Andy
doctor.
Lalino. Look at those two. Who are they?
Couple of clowns, just a couple of clowns.
Just clowning around.
Just clowning around, huh? Oh, apparently there she is. Ow! Okay, devil with the blue dress, got us again. Yeah, we like to have fun. You know, Halloween is a fun. Tell me, when you were a kid, wasn't it something you looked forward to all summer long, man? Because you knew, first of all, October 31st was going to mean the beginning of the holiday season with Thanksgiving, Christmas, and family. But come on, man. trick-or-treating?
Yeah.
5-6 blocks, we would walk forever.
I would go
Pillowcase.
all the way completely out of my neighborhood, way, way far.
Where did you trick-or-treat? St. Pete?
We trick-or-treated in St. Petersburg. This is back in the day when we had trick-or-treaters.
Yes.
We don't get them so much anymore,
I
but which
know.
is sad. I think people are overly paranoid about that, incidentally.
You kidding me? Overly
Yeah.
paranoid. You know what?
Right.
Today,
Well, I think the media plays into
They play
that
it up,
overly
yeah.
paranoid
don't let us
stuff.
don't let time get away from us, Becky, because we want to show everybody. So everybody in the booth, let's come on around. Get everybody
Come on
together.
out.
Get all set up. Bring all your accoutrement.
Well, in the old days of Halloween,
Satan's children.
it lasted till 11 o'clock at night.
No, but
Yeah, it was
to your
great.
point, Andy, what
Yeah.
you're saying is
We were safe, too.
today at noon, one of the newscasts, which shall remain nameless, but it sounds like ABC Action News, was keeping us safe in Tampa. And they were telling us that they have posted on their website the pinpoint locations of all the
Oh,
sex
the
offenders in
predators,
Tampa.
yeah.
Oh.
So that when you go trick-or-treating,
Sexual
you know
predators.
which houses to avoid. I'm going to tell you, stay right there, Beck. I'm going to introduce you one at a time. I can't believe that. Can you imagine back in the day?
Different. Can
No.
you imagine?
You're going to one house, man, because everybody in your neighborhood is on that list. That one house better have a lot of candy. That's all I'm saying. All right. Come on, everybody. Come on around here. Let
We
me
had good
introduce.
candy back
Let me
then.
introduce. Because we got to get out of here in just a couple of minutes. Big fella, did you? Yeah. All right. Come on back.
There they are. There they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the cast and crew of the Tampa Native Show. Come on around, everybody. Here we go. And I want to make sure that the shirts all show because they're lovely. The gentleman to our far left, to your right, is Damien. He's the gentleman that works our sound bus, and sometimes you talk to him too, and as you can see, representing the handsome devil that
He is a handsome devil. What do you mean representing?
all Satan's children. There you go. This nice lady here is Miss Becky Ata. She is the devil in the details, ladies and gentlemen. She's the one that sits behind the TriCaster, changes all these
Yes.
pictures out. She's the one that Mike Clark was referring to. Thank you,
Yep.
Becky, so much. The lady behind me is our sound technician, also our phone answerer. And of course, she's the devil who wears Prada. The devil
right.
the devil in Prada.
Perfect.
That's Autria.
great.
Thank you, Autria. And over my right shoulder here is Nick. He's our floor technician, our floor director, and our camera technician. And of course, he's the devil's advocate. So you can see there's a theme going on here
Play
tonight.
on word.
We wanted you guys to see this. We want to thank Bob Pettit and his team over at Integrity Advertising Works. Let me say it again.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Integrity
guys.
Advertising Works, because I came to him yesterday. I hatched this idea just yesterday. And yesterday afternoon, and by today, this afternoon,
Yep.
all of these shirts were ready to go. And Bob, your team does a terrific job. Thank you so much. They're also the
And enjoy that.
enjoy that cheesecake. They're also the ones that put together our shirts, our Tampa Native shirts for us. So
And I'm Devil Crab.
and Steve under his shirt,
Devil Crab.
he's the Devil Crab. And Andy, who do you want to be? Lucky Devil. Lucky Devil.
Satan's
He's
children.
and what about that shirt you got on there? You better show that shirt.
Yes.
Joel's going to be upset with you.
Joel Weinkoop, if you're watching, I've got the official Joel D. Weinkoop shirt on.
There you go. And Joel, Joel is no stranger here to TBCN
No.
because Joel gives acting lessons here at TBCN. He also has produced a series of B movies himself.
Oh, yes.
Some of which
Quite
have been very
extensive.
popular. Some of which have previewed. You know what? We should probably get with Joel and see if he might want to contract with Studio Movie Grill.
That'd be neat.
Easy for me to say. And see if we can't bring a group of Tampa natives in and fans of these wonderful movies to watch one of his movies. Stevie?
We could do it. Hey, real quickly, let's show, if we can, 2 pictures.
Please.
That Andy can enlighten us on.
Okay.
Becky, bring up picture number 6 and 7.
6 and 7 real quick. Here we go. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, this is Wolfman Matt Kelly's Monster Matinee. This is an event we did last year in November and December where we showed old horror movies, House on Haunted Hill.
I love that movie.
And Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Oh, remember that?
Classics.
Wanted to recreate the horror host experience for Tampa Bay fans, just like Dr. Paul Bearer did back in the 70s,
Oh,
80s, and 90s.
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
We did it. We did a live event.
Let's do it again.
Wolfman Matt Kelly, also known as Matt Kelly, was in full makeup with Boney Bob, his sidekick there.
I
and
hope
we had
he's
a lot of
watching.
fun.
Where is he now? In Pensacola, you said? Or is he in
Next
Jacksonville?
St. Augustine.
Oh, St. Augustine. Mac, if you're watching, man, we want to have you on the Tampa Native Show. Come on down here, reach out to us.
Look at this Tampa Picture Show. Is that right, Andy?
Yes, Tampa Picture Show. We did the Cult Movie Mania Screaming Cinema series where we showed more modern era cult movies, handpicked by myself. They were just a great array of just the cult movies, exploitive movies, horror movies, anything you can imagine.
I love the graphics. They're so colorful.
Really, really slick
They
stuff. Really good
catch
stuff.
your eye. I mean,
And that's your work right there. Good job. Good job,
Wow,
Andy.
you did that yourself?
You know, Mike,
Wow,
our
amazing.
dear friend Mike Beluha, who created the song I Remember Tampa, is a big monster buff and a big monster movie buff. And he
I hope he's
posted
watching
that out
now.
there today. So we hope that you've enjoyed this show, Mike, and everybody that... All of us were fans of those movies back then because
It
you know
was
what?
great.
It was benign fun.
Yeah.
We all like to get our pants scared off. And even though some of us had to sleep with a nightlight, not me, I'm not talking about myself here, but some of us had to sleep with a
you
nightlight.
are.
It was fun to be scared like that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
I mean, then you had big brothers that terrorized you, or big
Right.
sisters that terrorized you, locked you in a closet, sat on your head, whatever. But those movies bring us right back to a wonderful time in our childhood.
They sure do.
And we're
Growing
so
up
glad.
in Tampa.
And I like personally myself, and Andy, for you as well, I'm thinking it's for all of us. Scare me is okay, but don't gross me out, right? Because the gross me out stuff we can
Right.
do without. You can scare me.
We could do without that.
Okay, I just want to say.
You know, and as Dr. Saul, I want to say, medicine is the best laughter.
It is. Whatever he said. Andy, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for that tip,
Listen,
Dr. Saul.
put something together for us. We will drive the attendance towards that event. And if you do something like this again, this Monster Mash, Monster Fest, we will be there, front and center.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for making the trip in from all the way from the campus of the U.S. University
all
of
3
South
minutes,
Florida.
right?
Long haul.
Get that bolita number real quick.
Yes,
Wait,
we got
who has
lots-
it?
Who has the bolita balls?
Oh, my gosh.
they're here. They're here. They're here.
There they are.
Quickly, before we run out of time, oh my goodness. Andy, get in there, rattle it down, and pick a good number. And I hope Lonnie wins.
I hope Lonnie wins too.
First time callers usually win.
Did I say it or?
Yeah, 33. I think it is going to be Lonnie. Come on, Lonnie.
Yes.
Lonnie. Lonnie.
No, he was high.
No.
Oh, he went
It's
over.
gotta
Lonnie.
be Mike Clark.
Is it
Mike
Mike
Clark?
Clark?
Okay.
Mike Clark is our winner. Mike, come on back to Tampa, man. We got a bag for you. There it is, Tampa Natives Joe bag. Because we know in California you can't be using them plastic bags
Very handy.
anymore.
That's
man.
right.
Okay.
We should do
Real
that.
quick, I got to say this. If you wanted to watch last week's show with Rodney Justo, which was really fun.
Great show.
Right after this show, turn it over to channel 36 Verizon and turn it right over to 949 Bright House for last week's show. Hey, let's get our cups up, everybody.
Let's do it.
To everybody that puts this show together, all of the devil's children, all of Satan's children, thank you so much.
Just tonight.
That's Tampa Steve. Here's our 15-minute girl. This is Andy Lalino. I'm Mario Nunez. Salud and happy days. We love you, Tampa.
Yes, we do.
See you next week.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Back when we were younger and everything seemed new, we used to have a lot of fun, yes we did, no matter what we do. Sleepy days, long summer nights, going anywhere we please, with love that I could call my own, love that I've always known, the city that I call my home, a home from which I never roam. This love affair was meant to be. I love her and she loves me. I remember Tampa, oh, she remembers me. She remembers me. I remember, yeah, yes I do. Oh, I remember, yeah, me and you. I'm a Tampa native, Tampa native, can't you see? I will share my story with you to preserve its history.
All right now, don't forget, Thursdays, 7 p.m. on TBCN, home of the Tampa Native Show.